Hello.
There we are, ladies and gentlemen.
I'm here.
I've got
Can you
the
see
man.
me?
I could see you. If they can't, it doesn't matter. I got a big smiling mug. You're looking shiny and new. You don't have a quarantine beard.
Right. If I'm looking and my head looks pretty shiny.
I think it must just be the light washes your hair out. That's what it is. So it's
Yeah. I
the
really have I have a full head of hair. Just
platinum
you
blonde.
just don't see it in this light.
That's right. You're going for the new flock of seagulls look. I can see it looks good.
Let's see. Oh, I look better like that.
There you
It
go.
helps to not have the fluorescent bulbs right on the top of my dome there, but
That looks
whatever.
like you're in interrogation there. That's good.
Exactly.
Well, I can let folks know that don't already have some time spent with this gentleman. Brian Spaun is the owner, the visionary behind Spaun Drums, a boutique drum company, and also Simtech Cymbals, which is an offshoot of that company. And he's a remarkable touring tech as well. I'm going to let him get into all that, but I want to introduce you primarily as somebody that I consider family. This is my dear friend, Brian Spaun.
Great to be with you, my friend. I wish it were in person and under better circumstances.
That's right.
It seems like a lifetime ago, but when were we together at the Greek Theater? Was it like September of last year?
It was, yeah, Labor Day weekend. Yeah, so not too long ago. Amazing day, man. I will never forget. For me, that was a bucket list gig, right? Because I get to play on this historic venue, the historic stage. But you hooked me up with the coolest drum kit. We had the acrylic kit, and it had the chrome
acrylic kit.
The acrylic kit with the chrome stripes, and I think that was a 20 by 24 kick. Is that right? It was a big one.
24, yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I think it's 20 by 24, 14 rack, 16, 18 floor.
Meaty.
Yeah, that was a cool gig. That was a lot of fun. So
who
man,
loved that?
Missed those. I
Miss
those days.
Yeah, me too, man.
How badly Jones and are you like to
God.
get out and play again?
Yeah. Well, we had a conversation yesterday with our Flock of Seagulls members. We had Mike Score on and Gord Depp, our guitarist. And so he's in Liverpool. Gord is in Toronto, and so we're kind of flanking different parts of the world. And Mike is, he likes to be at home. He likes to tinker and work on stuff at home. And so it's not as big a deal to him, but we had a lot of big shows that we're missing right now. But it's nice to get to see this, see face to face. You and I could pretend like we're just 6 feet apart, in the warehouse, and we got a little social distancing. But on that the kit that I was talking about at the Greek, Fee Waybill from the Tubes loved that kit. I remember him coming up at soundcheck and going, "What's the deal with this drum set, man?" And Prairie Prince is obviously, he's
the singer of the band is loving the kit.
Yeah, Prairie.
The drummer's like, "Oh, what the hell? It's just another drum kit." The singer's all over it.
Their drummer, Prairie Prince, man. He definitely dug it. He's a vintage classic collector, right? So Prairie collects amazing vintage drums, and he loved the stuff. He had great things to say about you and the company, but I thought it was cool.
I have some vintage drums now, dude. I've been doing this 23 years.
Yeah, that's true. You
could definitely say that there's some vintage Spaun drums out there.
But probably not a lot in your warehouse, man, because a lot of stuff you do is built to spec, right? For custom orders.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So
virtually everything, I usually have some things in stock, or I built something just because I wanted to build it, or, for a NAMM show or a trade show or things like that.
Promo
kits for backline, to have on hand. But other than that, everything's built to order.
Yeah, so 23 years you've been in business, and it must have been within that first year that I got to see my very first Spaun drum. I had mentioned off camera that my first experience, for my first NAMM show. So for people that don't know, it's the
tell me that story again. Let's hear it.
Oh well, it's So that's the National Association of Music Merchants, right? And so they have all the manufacturers that get together in Anaheim, California every year, and they showcase products and technologies, and then they pair those with artists, and they have a bunch of different functions where you can get together and go to concerts or do meet and greets or just check out the gear and show off new stuff. And I remember going to that first NAMM show, seeing so many drums and being overwhelmed by, the glut of, it was, I
Kid
felt like
in
I
the
was,
candy store, everything you could imagine was all
yeah,
there, right?
right. Yeah. And
And
it's
then some things you didn't even imagine.
yeah, for sure. And the artists, right? Being blown away by the artists that were there. But that weekend, my buddy Merrill and I went down to the West LA music Glenn Noyes shop, and he had so many snare drums, and I had kind of been burned out on looking at so much gear after the weekend at NAMM, but I found the snare drum in this huge rack of all this assortment that I was just drawn to. And I'd seen some boutique drums. I'd looked at Al Out and Alfie's sound percussion or Space Muffins drums up in Seattle,
Mhm.
but there was something about this snare drum that aesthetically it got me. I picked it up. The weight of it felt just right. I hit it. It felt and it just it sang to me, And so I told my buddy, I have to find Spaun drums. And at that point, I don't think you had a lot of distribution, right? You were just in that
No, very,
area.
very little. Thanks to Glenn Noyes, who's now a buyer for Guitar Center, for bringing Spawn drums into West LA music. I mean, West LA music was an iconic store,
Right.
especially back then. It's like premier, drum and full line music store for Los Angeles and known all around the world too. So, that was a big break and really helpful that Glenn, saw the quality and was willing to give me a shot at, selling at his store. And that was in the early days, just trying to establish some music stores for Carrie and Spawn. So
Yeah. So Glenn, he's a buyer now for Guitar Center, because I know
yes,
that about, I don't know, getting, you had a
lost
few
you.
other pieces that you had sort of nationally.
Say that again. I
You got me
lost
back
your
there now?
audio for a minute.
Oh yeah. So I remember about 10 years ago or so, maybe a little more, you had the Coke bottle snares that got picked up through distribution nationally in guitar centers. Was that Glenn that kind of helped facilitate that as well?
That was before Glenn.
Okay.
That was a little bit before Glenn.
Okay.
Um, but he's always been a great supporter of Spawn, wherever he's been at. He was still at West LA Music, was still happening at that time, I believe.
Okay.
They were still going strong. I don't know. I'm old. It all gets a little foggy for me.
Yeah. The questions that people had, they may be, things that you can't remember just because you deal with so many distributors and so many backline companies. And then you're doing the drum tech thing too, right? Where you got to wear a bunch of hats when you're on the road. So I,
Yeah.
I don't expect you to remember things like this, but I know I was on tour 2009 through Belgium and the Netherlands. I was with a band called Cleveland, and they had set us up with some really inadequate backline equipment. And we went into Hengelo, the Netherlands, where they had this drum shop. And the guy that brought us out there, Jordi Deutscher, he said, "Hey, I got a drum shop for you. If you're not satisfied with what we got for backline, let me take you to this shop in Hengelo." And we walked in, and it's full of Spawn drums. They've got so many kits and snare drums, and I'm like, "What?" It was I thought somebody was pranking me,
Right.
but so you've got these little pockets of distribution where people have sort of found the value of Spawn drums, and they brought them over, not as far as backline, but really as distributors for selling your product retail, right?
The few, the proud,
Yeah, yeah.
like
Well,
the Marines.
that's right.
My
Semper,
son's my son's Marine, so I can say that.
semper fi.
I'm not, but he is. And my other son is in the Army right now. So
Right on. Proud papa.
yeah,
Good
yeah.
man. But this
Hey,
little,
so we'll continue on, but maybe I should walk you through the factory real quick.
Yes, I
Do a
love it.
little my little shop here.
So this is what makes Spawn so much different from other drum manufacturers. This guy, Brian, is like family, right? So when you have a relationship with Spawn, he really truly becomes like, uncle or brother Brian, and he'll give you from soup to nuts the ground up. This is what he does, man. Look at this. He builds the drums, paints them. So
All
we got
right. So I don't know. I'm just gonna assume you're seeing what I'm seeing. Sort of.
yeah,
Okay.
you might want to like stop it periodically and let it rest.
All right. So this is I'm showing you, this is like my assembly area, these couple of tables and leading out. Let's see if I
That to the right there, just as you're going, was that a bunch of red hardware for?
yeah, there, yeah, some red hardware for snare drum.
Oh, gorgeous.
Uh,
Beautiful anodized stuff. How do you, if you don't mind me asking along the way, when you
Sure.
got that type of finish on the hardware, this isn't powder coated stuff. Are you doing anodized or what?
That's powder, it's powder coating. It's primarily powder coating.
Okay.
And then there's some other plating processes like gold plating and things like that. That particular stuff is powder coating.
Okay.
And there's a million different colors. Let's see.
Oh, look at that.
This is a blonde satin kit that I'm assembling. This kit I just finished. This is black sparkle with gloss black hardware. Customer's picking that guy up.
Nice.
Sorry if this is making you dizzy.
No, it's okay. While you're walking, I'll tell you one of the things that if people don't know that much about the Spawn drums, that your lug style is really unique, right? So you've got this smaller disc brass lug that I love a lot. Doesn't cover too much of the shell of the drums, so you get to actually look at the artistry, but they're still elegant.
Yeah, machine from solid brass. Just grabbing one. Let's see. Machine from solid brass. Brass is a musical instrument. Single point lug design, so it's pretty minimally intrusive. It actually adds to the resonation of the drum. So, all right, let's keep going. In this area, sorry, I got a bunch of boxes I got to put away, but that's got like all my cymbal stands, pedals, hi-hats are kind of all in here, and some of the other parts.
So people that buy kits from you, they can get hardware as well, right? They can get
already kind of blown out because I'm out the front door, but this is my Simtech rack.
Oh yeah, it's the Simtech cymbals.
I have about 300 cymbals in there.
You want to talk about the variations of the models?
Sure. So I have the vintage series, actually. Wow. Oh, the Spaun Mobile.
Nice. That's awesome. Everybody needs a trailer. Oh yeah, it is. You got a forklift, a Spawn fork.
Forky. Simtech I was going to tell you about. Okay, so there's the classic series, which is the traditional. First of all, they're all made from B20 bronze. Everything's hand hammered, hand lathe.
And that's done in Turkey?
Series. Yes, in Turkey. Sorry, I'm trying to figure out how to show this to you.
Okay, cool.
It's not working out very well. One-handed.
Well, they can always go to simtech.com and see and listen to these cymbals as well.
Right, yeah, and check out some of those videos on YouTube /Simtech cymbals. Okay. Including that cool video by a guy named Kevin Rankin. I'll just stick it down there for a minute instead.
I'm the bottom of the barrel artist for you.
Classic series, traditional lathing,
Nice.
you know, dark traditional style sound. I'll be right back.
You bet. My drum geeks are loving this, Brian.
Vintage series,
Look at that.
unlaid, a lot of hammering, very dry and dark articulation. You know, a lot of articulation out of that.
That vintage series ride is one of the best I've ever heard.
Yeah, it's a very cool sound. Modern series would be my brilliant, brighter, sibilant sound.
Mm-hmm.
This guy here, high polished. Again, everything's B20 bronze. Everything's hand hammered and hand lathed. And then
that happens to be my favorite of the series.
Extreme series.
Oh, yeah.
It's got the unlaid bell. It's a little heavier cymbal, definitely a little more volume, more throaty rock sort of voice. I think you jammed on some of these, didn't you? When
yep.
you made the video?
I actually did primarily the moderns, but I have an 18-inch Extreme that crashed, and I've got 15-inch Extreme hi-hats that I love. Those hi-hats are incredible. And
sorry, we're getting a wind tunnel here.
No worries. Yeah. So what part you're farther east than Chino now?
I'm in the city of Laverne, so I'm gonna close down my door here. So hang on 1 second.
Folks that know me know I got a handful of buddies here. I think I see Andrew Green on this.
All right, Andrew.
Yeah, buddy. We all went out and checked out, and Caleb, my son, we all checked out your Chino location a couple of times, and it was massive. I think that was probably even overkill for you, right? You had 100,000 square feet, and you're trying to it's like you could drive planes in there.
Yeah, that's funny.
Yeah.
Good times. Let's see, what else do we got? So there's that. So this has like a bunch of my parts and stuff on there. Up over the top of my assembly racks, you see I got, drum heads up above here and stuff. Way up, I got, a lot of veneers and extra parts and overstock like that. Let's see.
Do you happen to have anything with a real exotic veneer? Like I love the pattern on that.
Look at this is I'm working on assembly of this. This is my tour series. Those are ash and birch shells. That's the snare drum is basically done, but I gotta assemble these shells.
Okay.
The racks there are full of shells yet to be built out. That kind of junk. Up above, I got a bunch of some kits up there that are done and hardware and stuff that's waiting to be shipped.
I got to ask, what's in the purple hardware case or the purple tom case up there?
That's actually empty.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I can order something and have that sent. That's just my color,
That's true. What is that case? I'm trying to think. I think that's an Enduro made by Humes and Berg.
That's right. Michael Berg. Yeah.
Absolutely. So there's the blonde satin kit that I'm putting together.
So you actually badge those first before you actually do any wraps or finishes?
The finish is on there.
Okay. That's the blonde. Yeah.
Yeah, just a blonde satin lacquer on there. Nice. It almost looks like bare wood, but there is a clear finish on it. Beautiful. So this would be an example of a maple shell, no stain, just the clear coating.
Gorgeous.
Yeah. Here's what you're asking for, an exotic. Here's a kit that I have. Is it focusing on there?
You might have to get a little closer. There we go. Yeah, look at that pattern. Oh man.
That's a olive ash burl veneer. I'm waiting for some more to come in so I can finish up one more shell,
Wow.
and then I'll start the painting process. Right now, that's just the shell with the exotic burl on it.
Okay. What how many ply do you have on something like that?
That's an 8-ply maple shell, and then the exterior exotic veneer. So
Okay.
basically 9 plies, really.
Nice. Okay. And you're known
Purely.
for your bearing edges too on those shells. So one of the things that sets you apart, you want to talk about that?
Sure. Many years ago, when I first started making drums, I was doing a lot of experimenting with different types of bearing edges and the sounds that they would produce, etc. And I was cutting a very deep counter cut, what is basically now my double 45-degree bearing edge, and that moves the the very point of the bearing edge further in on the head, further away from the collar of the drum head. And so, it's landing in the center of the shell.
Sure.
And what that does gives more of a timpani effect to the drum. So the drum head seats faster. It resonates better. You can get a wider tuning range from that.
Okay.
And I think at the time, pretty much the main cut was just a straight 45 from the inside of the shell all the way out, which would tend to land the collar of the drum head on the bearing edge, and you have to, reseat the drum head. You do those crazy things like crank it super tight and jump up and down on it, and you hear all this crackling and creaking and all that kind of stuff. I'm sure you remember those days, the
Yeah,
glue cracking and all that.
of course.
So, I mean, that was just produced a better sound as far as I was concerned. And you can do a wider tuning range. You can get a lower note quicker. You can crank it up high for high notes. So that's just became a staple. It was
Right.
just kind of a no-brainer for me. And, you know,
That's
that's that.
right. And that's kind of behind the scenes stuff. I mean, drummers definitely appreciate that. The stuff up front, the things that are really unique to your drums are the artistry that you put into the aesthetic, right? I mean, of course they play and sound incredible, but
Sure.
the real like sort of eye-opening drums that people seem to see from Spaun are these custom kits that you put together. Somebody might have an idea, they wake up from some crazy nightmare or wet dream, and they say, hey Brian, I want this. It's
Right.
like across the board, man. I've seen you put together some bizarre looking kits, but anything it seems like people want, you've been able to do.
I think that grabs people's attention more, even
Mm-hmm.
though, I make tons of very simple classic drum kits. Like that
Right.
blonde satin kit right there it's nothing super fancy or high frills. That's actually going into a recording studio, and it's going to be perfect for that. It's
Right.
never going to go out of style. Just a natural finish kit. It's going to sound great, and you're good for 20 years, which
Sure.
probably part of my problem.
And
you
well,
know, I
well,
shouldn't have made drums to sound so good for so long. Nobody's
that
buying them again.
that's
It's one guy and then he's gone for 25 years.
you know the well, people that have Spawn drums don't oftentimes just want one kit. They want more. I was looking at a couple of the more eccentric kits. I'm sharing this kit right here that you did. It looks like Terry Bozzio may have walked in and said, hey Brian, put something together. Like, tell me a little bit about this kit. Like, where did that idea come from?
That was the customer, really,
Hmm.
surprisingly, I'm just building what people are asking me to build, really. I
Sure.
mean, I do have ideas and come up with things myself too, but really it's like, some people have some wild ideas, and he wanted to create all those little toms to you know tune at different intervals, and just so that was really not me, it was him, and I
Sure.
just helped make it happen.
That- Aren't you glad you're not having to go out and tech that gig's road trip?
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
like people always ask me things like that, like, wouldn't that be awesome to
Oh,
you were Terry Bozzio's
oh
tech
man.
or something like that. No, the tech gig that I want is Charlie Watts,
Yeah. Yeah,
four
simple.
piece kit,
Yeah.
two cymbals, playing all around the world at the coolest gigs ever. That's
Yeah.
the that's
Yeah,
that's the
absolutely.
gig for me.
Do
And
you know Terry's tech?
I do not. I do
Okay.
not.
I talked to him because I've seen a bunch of Terry's clinics, and it takes him 8 hours to set up that kit, so you don't just, show up and wait for, throw together a kit and have the backline stuff all taken care of. And yeah, he's there all day, and then they do the
Oh,
show, and then he's dismantling and on to the next night. And that, to me, and he's worked with him for like 20 years or something. So that,
right.
he must have something over on him, but it's, all right. Don't let me interrupt the tour. This is fun. I love
Yeah,
those. Look at
there's
this.
a this is a from my designer series. Those are mahogany shells with it's spruce and mahogany on the face.
It's elegant looking, man. Gorgeous.
And
So
then
are you
out
cutting
here
are you
out
cutting
here in my
inlays? Oh, sorry.
sorry, say again.
Are you cutting inlays to be able to lay those inner strips in, or how do you do that? Well, I don't want to give away your process.
Well, for something like that, you would pre-cut the exterior veneers, and what I do is I tape them together and then glue them to the outside.
Okay.
So
Cool.
like for I'll do that with multicolor wrap finishes. Like we're out here in my yard. It's my compressor. I do a lot of my
Yeah. Yeah.
wrap layouts and stuff out here where I have more room. And
Okay.
so like I got some silver glass there, like your kits,
Yeah.
silver glass and then I got some blue and some red sparkle.
The cutter over there. I see.
Because these got, I'm gonna, I got a red, silver, blue, three stripe sparkle kit coming up. So I'm starting to pull out those pieces. I got to cut them down to the right size for each drum,
Okay.
and then get them on the shell. So it'll be, I don't know if you've seen on my site the red, silver,
Yeah.
blue type of kit, but
This
that's
is
what that's going to be for
very
those.
Americana.
Yeah.
I'll pull
All
that
right.
one up.
So we'll go into my little office here. See what's cooking. Got a little micro kit in here.
Oh, hang on. I'm going to share something with you real quick here.
Okay.
Before you show off that kit. So
Right.
this this is your
Oh,
Americana kit, the ultimate Americana kit.
yeah.
This is an incredible piece, man. Tell me about how you're putting together something like that, where you've got so many flowing flag curves and the stars. Like those aren't.
Yeah, that's a very intensive graphic paint job. And those bass drums were 24 by 24.
Wow, that's huge.
Yeah.
This is a customer that came to you and said, "This is what I want." And
Yeah, he had seen. It's not the first time I'd done that paint job. I first did that. Ugh, man, I can't even. I can't even think of how many years ago I first did it. But anyway, he had seen that on another Spawn kit, and then he wanted his version of that.
Okay.
And so he chose the sizes and stuff like that. But basically, that paint job is so it's a silver sparkle lacquer
Okay.
base. So it's basically like, at least it's like two paint jobs in one. So first I got to create a silver sparkle large flake lacquer finish.
Okay.
Okay. Then I got to sand that flat and start the graphics work. So I got to mask it off for the blue section and the stars and paint all those blue sections. Then I got to back mask it, and I got to mark off and tape off all the red sections and tape
Wow.
do the red. And then basically the color work's done. Then I got to do a whole bunch of steps of clear coating to build up the high gloss up over the top of the color work,
Wow.
sand it, buff it, then drilling and assembly starts. Edging, drilling, assembly. Edging, drilling, and assembly are always the last steps
Yeah.
for me. So first is getting the finish, bare shell, getting the finish on it, then edging, then drilling, then assembly.
That
So
a kit like that has to take hundreds of hours, right?
yes, and
Um,
that's I did not do that paint job.
okay.
Um,
The one we're looking
well,
at now, or
technically I did.
what? I
It's a
meant to.
tag team. It's a tag team paint job. So that's done on a silver metallic base. And my friend Craig Frazier is along. He's an amazing airbrush artist
Okay.
that did all those crazy, biomechanical sort of graphics on there.
Wow.
So the way that works is I do a silver. I basically paint a silver metallic drum kit. Okay,
Okay.
and then I sand it so he can start doing his artwork. Then I send it to Craig. He does all those airbrushing graphics, and then he sends it back to me, and then I do all the clear coating and the final sanding and buffing before it goes to edging, drilling, and assembly. So I
Incredible.
guess I do the the simpler part, the painting parts, I guess you would say.
Well, you have your each individual artistic touch to it, but
Right. I wish I could airbrush like that, and I've always thought about taking it up, but just never have found the time to
sure,
do that.
you already wear a
Um,
lot of hats.
yeah, another friend of mine, Dan Lawrence from GMP Guitars. He's an amazing guitar maker and fantastic airbrusher as well. That he's done some stuff for me. I'm gonna see if I can close this. He's done some stuff for me as well as an airbrush guy, and he makes some really cool guitars. He is to guitars kind of like what I am to drums. So yeah, that's how I do that.
But
I wish I could paint. I wish I could airbrush like that, but I can't.
well, you know what? If you were,
I can do flames though.
yeah.
All the different
Oh,
flames and the flag graphic. Those are my own sort of things, 100%. But
oh, yeah.
ask me to airbrush your wife's face on a drum, and it's gonna look like a stick figure.
Oh, yeah, there's a flame kit. I remember one of the first covers that I saw of your catalog was the purple flames. Is that in your custom series?
Yeah.
I got to
So,
find that one. So many beautiful, unique kits. You get everything across the board from something that's pretty elaborate, and there it is. Look at this guy.
yeah.
Let's see. I just
So
gotta see.
My,
in its glory.
I got a little micro kit here in the office. I can, you know, demo some snares and some cymbals and stuff like that. And
Tell me about that micro kit. This is something that touring guys can just port around easily. And
yeah, it's just, you know, small kits have, you know, kind of taken off in the last few years.
yeah,
And, you know, sound is not very impressive on most of them.
yeah,
I didn't say that out loud.
it's all
Did I?
right.
Did
Well,
I
I
say
mean,
that out loud, or was I just thinking that?
a ghost said it.
Okay, yeah. That wasn't me saying that. That was somebody else. Anyway, you know, the idea was to create the something like that, but really have a much more of a professional sound to it,
Hmm.
and also portability and things of that nature. So, you know, I came up with I have a few different versions of it. Obviously, it can be customized any way that you want to, but the idea was to keep it minimalistic, make it sound really good, and you know, try to get the cost down,
You bet.
you know, as much as I can. Obviously, you know, there's only so much I can do. I'm
Right.
here in the USA trying to make drums. Well, 90 something, I think 95% of drums are made in China.
Right. Yeah.
You know,
Yeah. Yeah.
so I do what I can do, and I'm, you know, hopefully people appreciate that. And
I know people in the industry sure do. I love the fact that you've got a lot of um, people in the industry in different companies that are that you're well revered there. You know, I'll talk to somebody at DW or at Tama, and they all talk about how great a guy Brian Spaun is and great work you do. So it's nice to know that they're, you know,
I'm
that
glad they don't know the real me if they're
yeah,
saying that.
yeah, yeah. Well,
No,
they listen to what I say. Look at these snare drums, man. Look at this. There's a few that I haven't
there's
seen before.
yeah, it's so obviously those shells up there are some that aren't done yet. Sorry, I got my mics in the way there.
Okay.
Let's see, what do I got? Let's see. Starting over there, that guy is that's a chestnut shell. Yeah.
Interesting.
All right. Lost my mind there for a minute. Chestnut. The next one over. This, I believe, yeah, that's oak shell. This
Can you
guy
say
is,
that one again? It broke up for a second.
sorry, that one's oak
Okay.
shell. This
Alrighty.
is beech. This guy's birch with like kind of a cool burl
Yeah.
on it.
Beautiful.
Those are all shells. Actually, those are all shell unspoken for. If somebody wants me to make a snare drum out of one of those shells,
Right.
yeah.
This is the time to do it right now. You get in early and have Brian put together a custom piece for you. I love the fact that you've got such a variation of woods, you know, different tonalities and the densities of the woods. And
Yeah, those are like in my would be considered in my designer series for
okay.
people that aren't familiar with it. The designer series goes into the really crazy depths of where you can start choosing you know, the number of plies you want. You know, say you want, oh, I want 2 plies of babinga, then 3 plies of walnut, and finally I want you know, another 4 plies of birch. That
Uh,
it's that kind of thing. So if you
right.
really want to geek out on making a shell that's only you have, that would be the way you do it.
That's great.
In my designer series.
Have you had somebody come up with a combination of that many plies of different woods?
The most has been 3 different woods at a time.
Okay.
I think you're starting to get kind of crazy after that.
Sure.
But if you want to do it just because you want to do it, you know,
Yeah.
hey,
Yeah.
I'm happy to make that happen. You know, some people just want to have something different, you
Right.
know.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm here. I mean, I wouldn't there's no reason for me to be here if I'm just gonna make what Pearl makes or
Right.
Yamaha makes. Those guys already make fantastic drums, so
Right.
why bother, you know, repeating what they're already doing, you know?
You
So
bet.
this is Wenge.
Wow.
This designer Wenge. This is all cherry, and then I got some more of my traditional ones like custom series with the super wood hoops on there.
Okay.
This is kind of a trippy crocodile skin
Oh,
wrap sort
wow.
of thing.
What is that material?
It's like a faux leather,
Okay.
so
Wow.
it's I've wrapped it, it's kind of like, I don't know, something you'd make a purse out of, I
Right.
guess.
That's a pretty cool looking hand.
Underwear?
It's a good
Maybe
looking
it's
hand.
underwear. I don't know.
It's a good
Could be
looking
underwear.
handbag.
I mean, it'd be good underwear for you.
Yeah.
The
It's a very
rock star underwear.
right. Yeah. Right.
We got a few different maple. These are maples, just some different finishes, some different sizes. Yeah. There you go. There's my office.
I love it.
Few snare drums there. If anybody wants a snare drum, take a screenshot of that.
Yeah, for sure.
Or
Oh man, you've got most of this up on your site now, right, on the spawndrums.com site.
I think so. I'll be the first to admit that I'm not too. I'm a little behind on things like that.
Well, the
Trying to
public,
do it all myself is tough, because I'm doing all, I got to build everything. I got to make all the deals. I've got to, converse with all the suppliers. I got to fix all the problems. I got to pay all the bills. I got to, I got to record all the demos. There's,
you got to deal with all the pesky artists.
Yeah. I got to go home and be a good husband and a good father.
That's right. Yeah.
I got a lot to do,
you've got 3 kiddos, right? You have 3 children, correct?
Yes, I have 3 kids.
Yeah. Oh, wow. That's your beautiful family. You can tell, Brian, that you've taken your connection that you have your family and you've really extended that to the business. I know you've always made me feel like a part of your family. I love that we can go down there and have lunch and catch up. And it really makes me feel, like I'm not just a cog in your wheel, and I'm proud of the drums, but I'm also more proud of the relationship we have. It's a great thing. I saw.
Isn't that what we all want? We just want to have a happy life, right?
Yeah, man.
Life is short. I mean, how many people have we lost?
Yeah, that's the truth. Right now, people need to be expressive and connected with their important people. It looks like you've got a bunch of Spaun drummers chiming in on your page here. Aaron Carroll says he loves his micro kit.
Yeah.
He says the sound engineers love it too.
He's got a really cool version of that too.
Oh my God, man, my kit. So I have the recording snare, that birch 5x14, but my silver glass kit, my maple engineers have loved that forever. They really get a lot of kudos, bringing that in the studio. It's nice. Andrew Green, one of your drummers, has a question. He said, for the exotic wood interiors, do you put that on yourself, or do they have to be put on with the shells made? So you answered that a little bit.
But yeah, it can be both. Like the kit out there, the burl, that's my custom series maple shell with me gluing on the exotic veneer, and then I got to start the paint work on it. The designer shells are usually all molded that way because I don't mold drum shells. I have companies that make the shells for me to my spec.
Okay.
It would probably require $250,000 worth of equipment to make my own shells, which I would love to. But it's just it's too much of an investment. And there's lots of, there's some great drum shell makers that are already doing that I can go to that can provide that service. So
So you've got relationships with these other companies that have been sort of synergistic, and you can work well together. And but
Yeah.
you know, that lends nicely into this commercial, this question from Al Judd. Al, you've met at shows. Al's a tour manager for Wang Chung, and
Mm.
but we've known each other forever. He's toured with with a ton of people, and he's a front of house guy and a wicked drummer. He's there in Newport Beach. He has a question about your LED lighted shells because he hasn't seen anybody else do that. And that's a cool part of your assembly, your LED
Yeah.
kits.
Yeah. Um, the LED kits, yeah, there was. It's been a few years ago, but they were super hot for a little while, and I still do them. They're not as popular as they were a few years ago. I think that's probably just because there's enough of them out there and people have seen them for
Yeah,
a while. Whatever. Everything has a trend and goes up
sure.
and down. But yeah, it's basically an acrylic drum kit, and I install an LED system, which can be simple drummer operated LED system where you have a little hand controller. You change the colors yourself, or give the controller to your buddy, have them change the colors. Or I can build it with the DMX capability, which is basically the language in which lighting directors speak. So when you see a light show, all those lights are operated via DMX. I can build the kit in a way where, the lighting director can plug into the drum kit, and then he can control all the lights in the
That's
kit.
great,
You
man.
know? So
That's
it can
cool.
be simple, it can be complicated. It just kind of depends on what the drummer requires.
That's do you have well, I guess you started doing some tech work last decade, right? I think
Yeah. I've
so
been touring almost 10 years now.
okay. And you want to talk a little bit about getting into the Babyface camp first and then how that transitioned into your new work?
Sure. I'm gonna say, guys, maybe it's been longer than that. I feel like it was 2011, 2010, somewhere around there. Anyway, my good buddy and another Spaun drummer, Richie Pena, he was playing drums for Babyface. Played for him for many years. He's not the drummer with Babyface now, but he's a guy on the East Coast. He does a lot of production work and a lot of stuff for a variety of artists out of his home studio. If you haven't checked out my YouTube site, go there because there's quite a few videos that Richie's done for me. He's a fantastic drummer and a fantastic person. He brought me in to fill in for drum teching on the Babyface gig. Like I said, this was 9-ish years ago,
Okay.
9 and 10 years ago. Because they were having a lot of turnover, and trouble keeping guys consistent. So I filled in a couple of times, and I just kind of turned into the guy.
Nice, nice.
I turned into the main guy, and I think part of that was it is a perfect situation for me because I could tour some of the time, and Babyface doesn't tour all the time. People that aren't familiar with his work, you know, look up his work. He's an amazing songwriter and producer. He's got so many Grammys. It's crazy, like when I go in his studio in LA and like walk down the halls, like all the way to the ceiling are platinum
Wow.
albums and pictures of Whitney Houston and Quincy Jones and Boys
Yeah.
to Men and all these amazing artists that he's written songs for and produced. So, it's it's just mind-boggling the depth of his talent. But anyway, so he's doing that most of the time, but he loves to perform. So he does, you know, a fair amount of tours per year. But for the really hardcore touring guy, that's his only job, you know, that's how he makes his money. It's kind of tough because, you know, it's more weekend warrior stuff. You know,
Right.
you go out for a weekend and then you're back home, and, you know, maybe you do a couple weekends a month. Maybe you're a little busier during the summer and you might do a week at a time. Then you're home for a couple weeks and maybe you do 3 or 4 days. Well, you know, if you're a hardcore tour guy and that's the only way that you make money, it's not enough to pay your bills.
You
you
bet.
know
You bet.
you know it's good side money, but you're not going to pay your mortgage with it.
Right.
So, you know, those that kind of guy is going to jump onto the Taylor Swift tour that's
Right.
out for 3 months, or whoever else, you
Right.
know. So that kind of thing was happening with Babyface, and that's when Richie asked me to fill in, and I think that's why it's worked out so well, and I still, you know, work for Babyface now. You know, is because it's not something that I have to do all the time, nor do I really want to. It
Yeah.
dovetails in nicely with, you know, touring part of the time, building drums part of the time, and, you know, it works out. So,
What's your role there? Like when you go out with Babyface, you get your itinerary and say you've got 3 dates in Dubai, right? I mean, because you've done a lot of international touring, some really cool shows, right?
yeah, yeah,
So,
yeah.
so what's the day in the life? Are you doing primarily drum tech, or you wear other hats too?
For Babyface, I'm really primarily just the drum tech.
Okay.
We have a couple other guys that handle other things. Sometimes I'm helping with keyboards and bass, but for his gig, primarily I'm the drum tech. I started working with the pop artist Jason Mraz about
Yeah.
3 years ago, and he has a few different variations of his bands. He has, you know, a really big group she calls the super band, where we'll have more techs. And he has some smaller versions. And of course, he does a lot of gigs as a solo artist too,
Sure.
you know, which I'm not even involved with those. It's just him and his guitar, which is a beautiful thing, you know.
Yeah. Right.
But for Jason, uh, if it's the biggest group, the super group, then I'll be drum tech and percussion tech.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. So
So I think, you know, Mona
she
Tavakoli,
unbelievable,
percussionist
man.
for Jason, and, you know,
She's a badass.
too. Yeah, she's awesome.
So when
She's
they do duet gigs sometimes, right? It's just Jason and Mona doing him and the guitar.
um maybe
I've seen
maybe
TV. I've seen
sometimes.
TV performances that way anyway. But are
Yeah.
you? If it was something like that, would you go out and just help set up our cajon and help make sure that things are good?
Put the strap on the
Yeah,
cajon.
yeah. Make sure the mic is pointed the right way.
All
And
right, I'm
right,
out.
yeah, paycheck,
Uh,
please.
no, if it's Jason or a duo thing, because sometimes he does duo stuff with Toca Rivera, who
Okay.
does djembe and vocals. That's a really awesome duo with Jason and Toca. Those kind of things I won't be on
Okay.
until, you know, it's a bigger group, like 4, 5, 6 piece. Then then they'll start bringing techs out, you know, for that. Like I'm even Jason's guitar tech on certain gigs too. So I might be
Wow.
doing guitars. Like this last tour that we did was Jason and the Raining Janes, which is, you know, the female group that he works with quite often. They're all really amazing multi-instrumentalists and artists on their own. Of course, they have different groups that they play with as well. But usually on that gig, there's myself and Ben Varela is the other tech. And so we kind of divide up the stage. You know, he takes stage right, I take stage left, and he's handling a lot of the stringed instruments because the girls are playing, uh, you know, electric guitars, pedal steels, mandolins, uh, ukes, all kinds of different things, cello, that kind of thing. So I'll take care of Jason's guitars, and I'll take care of all of Mona's percussion stuff. You know, and then that's the technical divided duties, but you know, we just help out each other where needed, you know.
That camp seems to be really positive from what I can see, you know, online. Like
Yeah.
the artists and the crew and everybody seems to be really like grounded together, you know. So
Yeah, if you know anybody out there, if you're familiar with Jason Mraz, and you know, people ask me all the time, you know, if you're familiar with his music, you're probably gonna ask something like this: is Jason as nice as he sounds like on his songs? And
right.
the answer is yes, absolutely.
God, that's so
He,
great.
he is that person that you hear coming through the song. So
Beautiful,
he's
man.
he's a
Good
great,
gig.
great, oh,
Good gig.
super blessed.
Well,
Super.
they're lucky to have you too, man. I mean, that it just again, it's a transition of family. You know, you extend that kind of family vibe wherever you go. So
Yeah.
it's a really
Well, you
important.
know, so much about working is not, you know, it's not just what you can do with your instrument. I mean, that's a piece of it, but I'm a proponent. I would tell you that's a smaller portion of it than being an awesome person and being a cool hang, and just being able to get along with people, and you know, have a good positive energy. You
Yeah.
know, that's, you know, I'm sure, right? I mean, that's
Oh
the
yeah.
gig, isn't it?
It,
Isn't
I,
it, Kevin?
I
It's
it,
like being the cool hang. You know, you can shred on the drums or whatever your instrument is, but you know, if you're a jerk or you do dumbass stuff,
nobody's
nobody's gonna want you on that gig, you
it's
know?
man, this conversation has come up so many times. You know, my son Caleb, that you know, has you know, career
I'm
and
gonna
as
juice up
a
my
burgeoning
phone.
drummer, you know, his okay. As a drummer, his chops were always fantastic and really, really good early on. Good enough that I told him, "You've got 99% of all the chops you need to be able to perform professionally as a rock musician. Now it's about the hang." And that part is a piece that just takes practice. You got to be out there and be willing to go in a van and eat crappy food and get little sleep and still learn how to, you know, cooperate and be socially sort of attentive to other people's needs and not just yourself. You know, so
Right.
speaking of being needy, my pug really wanted to come say hi, and he, he's having a hard time with the quarantine life these days. You know, so but
Well, aren't we all?
yeah,
Right.
buddy, yeah, that's
I
the
mean,
truth. I didn't want him to cover up my Spaun shirt, my Spaun drum shirt, though. So
oh,
yeah,
nice,
yeah, I had to make sure I represented. But
nice.
you know, that connection that you make with people, the relationships that are built is such a key thing. And I've brought it up a handful of times on these conversations. The Jim Carrey gave this commencement speech years ago, right, to these marketing students, and I had it on my business card and on my website because I loved the concept behind this. But he said, "The effect you have on others is the greatest form of currency there is." And it really resonated with me. You know, I felt like the effect you had on me when I first met you made me want to be a Spawn drummer. I was already in love with your drums, man, but you know, it's what's kept me there for 16 years, man, you know? And I think I love the fact that,
Thank you for that.
oh man, it's the truth. It's the truth. And anybody that knows you feels that way. guys that play your drums, they love your drums, but if they get a chance to work with you as a person, it means a lot more than people that have been stuck maybe in maybe a larger company that just didn't have any connection with them, you know. So
Right.
I value that character and that trait with you. I appreciate you having it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I
how
appreciate that. The the support that you've given too. And anybody that's ever bought a Spawn drum kit. I mean, there's so many great drums out there, you know. I wish there was more drummers to play them
yeah.
all.
Well, this is a time right now, right, where people are at home, they're stuck in the quarantine, and they've maybe wanted to play drums their whole life, but they just didn't have the guts, or they didn't have the time, and they're being forced to look at their spare time right now. And so I love the idea that maybe they could, you know, as I toured through your factory and I got to know a little more about who you were, I encouraged them to go to spawndrums.com and look at, you know, their dream kits, because that really is the way your site is set up. You can build your dream kit there. You know, you can envision between finishes and wraps and hardware configurations, even the types of hardware, you know, 24 karat gold or 14 karat gold, and you know, red. Gosh, there was a kit that you hooked me up with for a tour down there in Cali that was so gorgeous. That was like a white glass kit with the red anodized hardware, and it was so classy, man. I felt like I was rolling in a Rolls Royce, you know. So
Yeah.
good
Yeah.
stuff. But oh, you know, even remember the first Hit Me Baby TV show when we did that thing on NBC, and
Yeah.
you
The
hooked me.
bright green, the single green, like neon.
That's right. It was like antifreeze color, man. And
That's right. It just lit up the whole television.
it did. It looked like it was one of your LED kits because it was just neon.
Nobody saw Animotion perform. They just saw Kevin playing his Spawn kit.
That's right, man. Even if I was in the background, they had a green wash over the whole stage. But I remember you asking me, let's see, should we get you the blonde maple kit, or do you want to have the antifreeze green? I said, dude, it's an 80s show, man. Let's go all green. It's not Poison, but it's close, right? So yeah.
Did they yell at you after that? Like, what's the big idea of bringing this?
They loved it. Yeah, man, it was
all the attention.
We get, you know, like, I know that I'm not the talent, but I want to get a little bit of vibe towards Spawn, you know. So we've had a lot of good chuckles backstage, man. You know, mostly just over people watching, because a lot of these 80s shows bring out really interesting personalities, you know. But
sure,
sometimes they involve tequila. I remember, but it's been a little while for me now. I just go chocolate milk crazy now. But
good for you, man.
Keep it
straight, you know.
It's been a good thing for me, man. But I just think, you know, we have tentative plans to get down there. We were supposed to be doing a cruise from Catalina Island down to Baja. Supposed to be happening this month. Obviously that's not happening, but they're trying to reschedule. And who knows what happens in Cali, you know, for the next 6 months. But I hope I get to come down.
It's a bad time for everyone, and I'm concerned for a lot of my friends, you know. And our industry.
Yeah.
I mean, can you think of an industry that, if you really think about it, I mean, musicians and everybody, I don't care if you're Sting, Babyface, or Jason Mraz, or, you know, the local musician that plays at local bars. I mean, 100% unemployment.
Right.
100%.
Yep.
Not, oh my gosh, the US unemployment rate is up to 10% or 15% or whatever the number is now, or where it's going to. 100%. It can't go any higher than that. There's no place to play. There's no, you know, no clubs, no restaurants. There's no weddings that are hiring bands, you know. It's it's a terrible thing, you know.
The one place that I can really imagine anyone in our industry having a little bit of light at the end of the tunnel Education is really important, right? Like distance education, if you're doing lessons with somebody online and you've got a good educator and decent internet access, hopefully people that have always wanted lessons can do those things. If they've wanted drum kits and learned how to practice, they can get a Spaun drum set, go online and take a lesson from, Glenn Sobel or Nate Morton, right? But
Yeah.
I think, and collectors can use this time. It's what we do have in the silver lining is that we've got time. We can self-reflect. We can look at the things that maybe life was so chaotic. We weren't able to take that time before. And for me, I felt like I was kind of forced to have to slow down and look at the things that were really important, and yeah,
Hmm.
I mean, looking at music and the fulfillment I got from it, I could either get really bummed out about it and say, woe is me, but it's woe is everyone, right? It helps to know that we're all stuck, like with a
Right.
challenge. But I'm trying to do something creative. And honestly, these conversations really helped with that for me, catching up with my buddies, helping share like sort of so the dynamic elements of people behind the scenes like you. I mean, if you and I were just in a business relationship, I wouldn't know about all these really cool, unique things that really make Brian special, and I like being able to share that with my friends, and so
Yeah.
if
Yeah.
nothing else, this is an opportunity to just extend the relationship piece, and maybe not the marketing thing.
Yeah. It's a time for reflection and think about what's really important in your life and what are the things that are not so important.
Yeah.
Maybe you need to let go of some of those less important things and focus more on, the priorities.
Yeah. Yeah. That's what I'm trying to do. I'm glad you
Yeah.
see it too. Man, I really want to thank you for taking time today, buddy. It's so good to see you in there. Glad to see
Yeah.
the production rocking. You're smiling. It's sunny, and yeah, hopefully we can all get out and see
The
you
good.
doing your thing,
You
man.
haven't heard the new song by Jason Mraz.
It's called what?
Look for the good.
Look for the good. Awesome.
For the good
Yeah.
in everything. It's
I'll,
there. You just got to find it,
yeah.
and try to be positive and you know do things that help other people and you know make it a good life. You don't know how long you're going to get,
That's the truth. That's the
so
truth.
live each day. Yeah, you got to take care of business and all those necessary things, but just remember that you need to have some enjoyment and something good from each day, because you don't there's no guarantee of tomorrow, right?
That's true, man. Well, to me, this is one of my highlights. So I'll take it with me as a good positive for the day.
All
Thank
right,
you.
buddy.
I really appreciate it. Yeah. So I will. I'll post your links. Anything you want to be able to share? Tell people how to find you on socials.
How to find me? I don't know. I should be more adept at that, right?
Well, I know they can go.
SpawnDrums.com, of course, is my website. Simtech.com is my symbol website. You can catch up with me on Facebook. It seems like, I'm getting a lot more people contacting me via Facebook Messenger and
Good.
Instagram messages. Um, don't get bummed out if I don't get back to you right away because for whatever reason, I just don't see the message. I don't
Yeah.
know.
Well,
Whatever.
you wear a lot of hats,
My
man.
settings, my settings are off. I don't know. I need a social media manager, but
Yeah.
I can't afford one. So don't send me a bunch of emails saying I'll be your social media
Yeah.
manager.
Just
I
just
gotta figure it out on my own.
just
But
be patient with Brian getting back to you. But yeah, man, you are really great with your community, though. It seems like you really do interact with people well, and you put a lot out there between your YouTube and your Facebook, showing off new products. And I think it's great that you keep a good presence there. So if people go check out your socials, I think they can really stay in touch with what you've got going on.
yeah, and check out some videos. A lot of people, asking about, the symbols. and what they sound like. And, there's like, where can I go play them in the store? Well, sorry,
Yeah.
I don't have a bunch of cymbals or drums in the stores, so you got to rely on, some of the demos and stuff that I can make. And of course, the word of mouth has always been, the saving grace for Spaun drums and Simtech cymbals, and it's user experience, and then the users and people telling other people,
Yeah.
so
Right on.
I appreciate all of that, and it's very nice to say that I'm still here doing this, 23 plus years.
Yeah.
So
That's
thanks to you, and thanks to anybody and everybody that's ever, purchased something from me. It's very much appreciated, because I know there's lots of places that you could go. So I do appreciate any patronage that you send my way.
it's our pleasure, buddy. Thank you so
And
much,
hopefully
man.
I'll see some people out on the road here too. Don't
Yep.
feel free to hit me up, once I get back to touring and stuff.
Absolutely.
Have a chance to meet up with some people in some other parts of the world again. I'm looking forward to that. I hope that kicks back in sooner than later.
Amen, my friend. Yeah, make friends with Brian Spaun out there on the road when you see Babyface or Jason Mraz. And if you're down in his hood, check out the factory, go to spawndrums.com, get yourself some amazing custom drums, and hopefully you just developed a new friendship.
Absolutely.
So, thank you, my friend. Have a beautiful week. I wish you the best, okay?
Right on, Kevin. Have a great week, man, and I will talk with you real soon.
Thanks, buddy.
Bye,
Take care.
everybody.
All right. Cheers, pal.
See ya.